Welcome to Engineering Scale Models, where the details live. I am Jason, your host for this episode and very special tool review. We are going to take a look at some sanding products from Infini Model. We're going to show off some of their stuff. It's not their complete line, but it is a nice representation of some of the sanding stuff they have and some of the sanding stuff I use, and I have been using it. I've been using it on my North Carolina. Most recently, I was using it on the LST extensively, so, and also on my tanks and things like that I do off camera. So let's get into this here. So you can see this is what I got laid out. This is all the Infini Model sanding products I have. I gathered them all together in one spot. Some are new, some are used. I'll show you. I try to save the packages, so when I did this video I would have a package for everything, and some stuff I keep in the package. Well, let's start with one of these items that's not in the package. It's these premium zebra sanding sticks. This was their variety pack. I believe you can get these individually in these grits. It's between 100 and 800 is what these are. They're great for tearing off some detail, especially the 100. But they got a little bit of flex to them, and they got a little bit of squishy, not a whole lot. They work pretty good. 100 and 150, I don't find myself, I haven't used it yet, let's put it that way. I could use it for taking off some detail, but I find the 220 works just fine. It takes it off pretty quick. Plus I scrape it pretty good, and I don't like a rough surface, and I don't have to keep going up through the grit slowly. So I use 220, 400, and 600 are my main goes in these zebra strips here. And then, you know, I'll use a different product to get to the final ending. Next thing I want to show here is their elastic sanding film. Now I wrote some nice things about this on my Patreon page. Basically, this is a very thin sheet of stretchy sandpaper. You can use this wet or dry, and it works great. As you can see, these are dirty. They clean up with water. I just haven't cleaned them up yet. You can cut pieces off, freehand sand, or whatever suits your fancy on sanding. They come on a backer paper, and you can see the ones I don't use. I don't have still the backer paper on to keep the stack rigid. So these work great. I'll drop that. On my North Carolina, all the gap right here, I filled and sanded with the elastic sanding sandpaper, and then I'm going to clean it up with some other. I just got a couple little rough spots, little areas I got to touch up, but I did majority of the work with the sanding film. I am a messy puttier. I'm trying to get better every day, but I am a messy puttier, so it takes me a lot of sanding to get the messy puttiness down. I know there's techniques to do it, and I try these techniques. It's either I don't apply it. If I try to be neat, I don't apply enough, and I got to do a second, that third coat. So I find if I go a little bit messy, it's a little bit more work, but I only have to do the one coat most of the time. And then sometimes I got to do two, and that's irritating. So this is a variety pack. You get one sheet, and it goes between 220 and 2500. So you can get the full set, or you can get them individually. And I got a 400 and a 600, and I believe it comes with 3 sheets of that specific grit, and it's like $2 or $3. So they're tiny sheets, which is ridiculous how small the sheets are, but because they're elastic, you're not going to put them on your bench and sand. You're not going to put them on your bench and sand like this. It's not something you're going to do, because they're going to stretch and they're going to be elastic and not do that. They're more for hand sanding and contour sanding and things like that. Sometimes I put them on. I stretch them over a block. And I'll sand some stuff that I want super flat. As you can see, this is I cut this off along this edge here, and I stretched it around a small block of sand, like a small block of wood. And then I had a nice flat surface. I was able to hold the ends and sand it down. Unfortunately, I don't know where that is at this moment. It might be in here. Oh, yeah, there it is. See, it's just little strips like this, and then you can take it, wrap it around some plastic card. I'm just going to use this sanding stick for an example. You can take it like this, and you can wrap it around there, pinch it down, and then you got a nice stick. You wrap it around a popsicle stick, a round stick, you know, whatever kind of stick you want to get in some tight places. It's very versatile. With the stretch, it holds tight. It doesn't want to tear. And like I said, you can use it wet or dry. I believe you can use all these wet dry. I haven't tried the zebra strips wet dry, but I have tried the elastic pad, the elastic sandpaper dry or wet. And moving on, I've also tried the sanding sponges. Now these come in a variety pack like the zebra sanding sticks with all the different grits, but I can't find it. It's out of stock everywhere, so I have just the basic ones I'm going to be using. Like I said, mostly I use 220 and 400. So, and these were the only two I could find in the beginning, was 220 and 400. So I had these. I just recently got a 600 and an 800, or 600 and 1000. Again, 800 was out of stock. So, but as you can see, they're foamy and squishy. They do have a plastic card in the middle, but they are nice. You can use them wet dry. They work out great. And then to complement these sponges, I have a set of these. I have a backup. I always have a backup sponge set, sponge sanding set. This is a full set. It goes from 220 to 4,000. 4,000 probably not going to be used too much by me, but it's a pack. You get 8 of them, and here's what they look like. Some of these have been cut up. I'm going to cut little corners off like this and just go to town with it, like a piece of sandpaper, or doing some curved surfaces or things I don't want to. I just want a sponge. And then also what you can do is you can cut off little pieces and take a pair of these cross-locking tweezers, and you know, just take a little piece. Find the piece I want here. Just take a little piece like this, cut it off, and you can put this in your cross-locking tweezers, and you got a mini little sanding stick that wide. You can make it any width you want that'll fit in your tweezers, and you can get into some tight places. You can make it as small as you want. You can also, you know, if you don't like that, you can throw it in one of these angled bad boys, and you got a nice way to get into some detail. I used this on the North Carolina yesterday. Inside here, before I glued it on, was a sprue ejector pen. I don't know why I said sprue, just an ejector pen. And you could see it a little bit if you look down there. You probably wouldn't see it with the screws on, but I knew it was there, so I used a piece of this on there to sand that out, and you're good to go. The only downside is I only cut off what I need, because most of the time, once you cut a little piece off and you're done using it, it can be used again, but you don't know what grit it is. So they normally end up getting lost at that point. That's why I have the extra set. I go through a lot of little pieces. I have a little bin full of little pieces that I sometimes go to if I feel like digging for the right one, but it's without knowing what the grit is, you know, it's hard to tell by feeling it. I can't do that. So, I mean, I can tell between 200 or 220 and 600. So, or 220, 400, 800, I can do that by feel, but little pieces, you know, I can't do that. I can't. 400, 600, probably not. 800, 600, probably not. So, just cut off a sheet, and it's nice because right here in the corner they have the grit written, and I just leave that till the very end, and I cut my way this way, whatever shape I need, and then when it's done I grab a new sheet from the pack. So, and what's also nice is like this 4000 that, like I said, it says for a quick shine gloss polishing pad. I may never use this for sanding, and you're like, well, why did I buy another pack with another one of these in it? What you can use it for is photo etch, is bending photo etch. Now I'm just going to show you an example how these pads come in great, especially this one right here, because it doesn't have a real rough gritty texture, but it has just enough to where it's gonna grip the photo etch. And I'm not going to actually bend this, but if you have a set of dowels like this with different size dowels in it, this is actually a rolling set for photo etch. But if you don't have the right curvature or with one of these dowels, you can take one of these rods and you can push it into one of these sanding pads, and you can get the curvature you want based on the rods you use, how hard you press down on the pad, and things like that. So for being able to use it for doing that type of photo etch work, I like to have an extra one of these. Will be good to have. I could have one as a full sheet, or I could cut one down in the strips, however I need, in case I needed to bend something that I needed to hang something over each edge. I just needed to bend the middle, and I could just cut a strip off wide enough to do the bend I need. So an extra one of these, like I said, I may not use it, but it'll be good to have in the amount of photo etch I do. So that is a fantastic use for these pads if you don't use them for actually sanding or polishing, as it's so called. So that's very good. And lastly, what I have from Infini in their sanding line is, these are new. I haven't tried these yet, but I just wanted to show that I have them. They're called Premium Ultra Precision Soft Sanding Sticks, and I got these in 6 and 8 because basically I wanted to try them, but this was the only thing I could get them in. And we're gonna, so they're almost, let's do a 6 versus a 6. I mean, they're almost the same amount of squish as the zebra sticks, but they're smaller. So I don't know if that's what the Ultra Precision series means, that they're just smaller. So they seem to be about the same as the zebra sticks. I don't know if the grit, if it's a different type of grit or what, but I don't know. So I got them to try. We'll try the 600, 800 for some finished stuff. So I would like to see them come out with a sponge that size, like a sponge sanding stick that size. Like UMP's got the thinny sticks in sponges, and they're fantastic. Very hard to find. I have a hard time finding them in stock anywhere. But if I ever do, I am definitely getting some of their lower grits in the sponges. So save me having to hack up so much sponge just to get in a tight spot. So this is going to do it for this. Check out the links on social media. I'm trying to post pictures or stuff on Instagram and Twitter. Not daily yet. I'm working on getting a daily. I'm still working on my photography skills. I'm going to try to start doing what's on the bench stuff and things like that. So you can check that out. And if you so choose, you can check out my Patreon page. That is going to start having stuff added to it also. And guys, it's New Year's here. I don't know when this video is going up, but you guys, I hope you have a great new year in 2020 and have a fantastic day. Thank you so much.